No one expected it. Not the tennis community, not the supporters, and truthfully, not even her. A 20-year-old from the Philippines, standing between two entirely different sporting worlds, received something that had nothing to do with a trophy, a ranking, or prize money. And yet, for millions watching across the globe, it carried more meaning than any of those ever could. Because sometimes the moments that hit the hardest aren't the ones you prepare for. Sometimes they're the ones that arrive quietly and completely when you least expect them. This is one of those moments. And if you think you already know how this story goes, stay with me, because the part that sent the internet into chaos hasn't even begun yet. To truly understand the weight of it, you have to go back. Not to a tournament, not to a ranking milestone, but to a 13-year-old girl in Quezon City, Philippines, with a packed bag and a decision most adults wouldn't have dared to make. At an age when most kids are still figuring out where they fit in, Alex was boarding a plane to Mallorca, Spain, traveling across the world to train at Rafael Nadal Academy, one of the most elite and demanding training grounds in tennis. Think about what that really means. She left behind her language, her food, the streets she grew up on, the everyday comfort of her family. Everything, to chase something her country had never truly seen. Tennis wasn't the Philippines' sport. Basketball ruled. Boxing was iconic. Tennis was something you randomly found on a quiet afternoon flipping channels. But Alex didn't pursue what had already been done. She chased what had never been done before. And she delivered in ways no one could have predicted. She rose to world number 2 in the junior rankings. She became the first Filipina in history to win a junior Grand Slam title, capturing the trophy at the 2022 U.S. Open at just 16 years old. And when she stepped up to the microphone afterward, she spoke to the crowd in Tagalog, the language of home, and the clips spread across every platform like wildfire. At 16, she even appeared on the cover of Vogue Philippines. But professional tennis is an entirely different challenge. The ITF circuit, the qualifying rounds, the slow and often punishing climb through the rankings, none of it cares about junior success. It doesn't care about magazine covers or viral moments. It only values what you do on court today against someone chasing the exact same goal. And 2023 was tough. 2024 was even tougher. Then came Miami 2025 and everything changed. Ranked 140th in the world and entering with a wild card, Alex stormed through the draw with fearless, attacking tennis that caught the entire tour off guard. She defeated Grand Slam champion Jelena Ostapenko. She shocked 2025 Australian Open winner Madison Keys. Then she stepped out and beat world number 3 Iga Swiatek, one of the most dominant players of her generation, becoming the first Filipina ever to reach a WTA 1000 semifinal. In just 12 months, she rose from 140th in the world to 29th, from wild card to seeded player, from prospect to force. And when Miami 2026 arrived, she didn't show up as a Cinderella story. She arrived as someone who belonged. But before she even stepped back onto that court, something happened. Something that had nothing to do with tennis and everything to do with what this journey truly represents. Stay with me, because what unfolded between two Filipino icons in the heart of Miami is the moment people still can't stop talking about. March 16, 2026, Miami, Florida. Hard Rock Stadium is still days away from hosting Alex's return to the Miami Open, but she isn't at the tennis venue. She's at the Kaseya Center, home of the Miami Heat. Waiting for her is Erik Spoelstra, a 3-time NBA champion and head coach of one of basketball's most iconic franchises, a Filipino-American who has spent his career navigating what it means to carry that heritage in a world that doesn't always recognize it. The two first met back in 2023, when a 17-year-old Alex attended a Heat game. At the time, she was outside the top 150, still developing, still rising, still caught in that uncertain space between promise and arrival. That same night also marked Spoelstra's 700th career coaching win, a coincidence that felt almost like destiny. Two Filipinos at different stages of greatness, sharing the same space, sharing a moment neither of them planned. Years later, they met again and everything had changed. The Miami Heat captured the reunion and shared it across their social media, captioning it simply, "Just two powerhouses representing the Philippines at the highest level." But here's what transformed a feel-good moment into something the internet couldn't contain. It wasn't a quick greeting. It wasn't a staged photo. This billion-dollar NBA franchise with a global audience took the time to create a full tribute video, a complete montage, a story within a story, tracing the journey from that first meeting in 2023 all the way to this reunion, with Alex now ranked 29th in the world and Spoelstra still one of the most respected figures in basketball. No one told them to do it. No PR directive forced it. They did it because they saw something in Alex beyond numbers and match results. They saw representation. They saw pride. They saw what it looks like when someone from an underrepresented community achieves something impossible to ignore. Fans felt it instantly. Comments poured in. One person wrote that seeing two beloved Filipino figures in sports come together was genuinely heartwarming. Filipino athletes coming together like that felt incredibly genuine and heartwarming. Another fan mentioned that Eric Spoelstra had even promised that if Alex returned the following year, he would watch her match in person. And somewhere within all that attention, Alex received something no ranking points or prize money could ever match. She experienced what it meant to be truly seen, not just by her own supporters but by one of the most iconic organizations in global sports, standing beside one of the most accomplished Filipino figures to ever coach at the highest level. The internet didn't just respond, it exploded. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. While the Spoelstra reunion was taking over timelines, Alex quietly made another move that sent her fans into a completely different kind of excitement. Around the same time, she launched her TikTok account. On the surface, an athlete joining a social platform seems routine. But for Alex, and for the community that had grown up watching her, it was a cultural moment. Her first video showed a glimpse of her practice before a match. Relaxed, authentic, completely unfiltered. She captioned it, "This is me hard launching my TikTok account," followed by an angel face emoji. Her bio read, "Things I do, fits I wear, places I go." Simple, confident, entirely her. Within hours, she gained tens of thousands of followers. The official Women's Tennis Association account dropped a wave and a green heart in the comments. Spotify Philippines welcomed her to the platform, and fans flooded in with messages that blurred the line between sports admiration and genuine personal connection. The kind that forms when people feel like they've watched someone grow up in real time. And that's exactly what makes Alex's story different from a typical breakout narrative. Her following isn't just a fan base, it's closer to a movement. She has nearly 1 million followers on Instagram, more than double the audience of higher-ranked players like Jessica Pegula, Madison Keys, and Amanda Anisimova. A day in the life video posted during Indian Wells Open became the most viewed content of the entire 2026 BNP Paribas Open, and it wasn't even close. During her breakout 2025 season, she became the first tennis player from the Philippines to enter the top 100, defeat a top 5 opponent, reach a WTA Tour final, win a Grand Slam main draw match, and claim a WTA Challenger title. Every one of those milestones was celebrated not only by tennis fans, but by an entire nation that had been waiting for a moment like this for years. When she spoke about what fame felt like back home, her honesty was quietly powerful. She described how strange it was to walk the same streets she grew up on, to sit in familiar restaurants, and suddenly be stopped by strangers asking for photos. Ordinary in one way, surreal in every other. But what she said next was what truly resonated with the Filipino community. She shared how happy she was that Filipinos were being introduced to tennis, that at its core, sport is about connection, pride, and shared experience. She said she hadn't seen that same sense of collective pride in many other communities, and believed it was one of the things that made Filipinos genuinely unique. Read that again. A 20-year-old carrying the weight of being a pioneer in a sport her country barely followed a decade ago found the clarity to express the soul of an entire community in just 2 sentences. That's not just athletic ability, that's leadership. And just when it felt like the story had reached its peak, she stepped back onto the court and delivered something unforgettable. March 19, 2026, Hard Rock Stadium. Alex, now seated 31st, walks out for her round of 64 match. A year ago, she was the wild card shocking everyone. Now she has a first-round bye. She isn't chasing the dream anymore, she's protecting it. Her opponent is Laura Siegemund, 38 years old, a seasoned veteran who has competed at the highest level longer than some younger players have even followed the sport. She's not someone you underestimate. She's not a stepping stone, and she made Alex fight for every point in a match that stretched to 3 hours and 20 minutes under the Florida heat. Alex started fast, jumping out to a 3-0 lead, looking completely in control. But Siegmund disrupted the rhythm, extended a single game beyond the 10-minute mark, and slowly worked her way back to even the set at 3 games apiece. The pressure in those final moments was undeniable. Alex dropped the opening set in a tiebreak, and that carried more weight than it seemed because she entered this tournament with 390 ranking points set to expire as soon as the draw began. Points that accounted for nearly a quarter of her total ranking. Losing that set, in that moment, on that stage, could have led somewhere much darker. The pressure was very real. But Alex isn't someone who breaks under pressure. She moves straight through it. She secured an early break in the second set, did it again in the third, dictated the pace, trusted her instincts, and closed it out. And when she faced the media afterward, after 3 hours and 20 minutes in the Miami heat against Laura Siegmund, a 38-year-old doubles Grand Slam champion who made every moment difficult, this is what she said. She admitted it was physically and mentally exhausting, but improving her fitness had been one of her main goals since last year's tournament. Then she smiled and said she felt fresh as a flower. Fresh as a flower. After everything she had just endured, that one line tells you everything about who Alex is. She added that reaching the third round in Miami after entering as a wild card the year before showed just how much she had grown, both as a player and as a person. But here's the thing. As impressive as that victory was, it wasn't even the biggest story waiting for her. What comes next? Who's waiting in the round of 32? What's at stake for her ranking? And what it all means for the direction of her journey, that's where this story truly takes off. Her next opponent, Magdalenette, had just eliminated the world number 3, the same player Alex had taken down in last year's quarterfinal. The draw had tightened, the stakes had risen, and beneath it all sat the unforgiving math of the WTA Tour ranking system. Every win rebuilds her position. Every loss risks pushing her back outside the top 50. She is defending the most important result of her career, with the entire tennis world now fully aware of what she can do. The element of surprise that carried her through Miami in 2025 is no longer something she can rely on. Every opponent has studied her game. Every coach has broken down her patterns. What she has now is something far more rare than surprise, belief. Not the kind that comes from inexperience, but the kind forged through pressure and proven through adversity. Her serve now shows greater precision and variation than before. Her endurance in long baseline rallies has improved. She's more patient, more precise, more lethal when it matters most. This isn't the same player who stunned the world as a wild card. This is a more refined, more complete version of her, and everyone on the WTA Tour knows it. So here we are. A 20-year-old from the Philippines reconnecting with a Filipino-American NBA icon on the eve of her biggest tournament of the year. A TikTok debut that turned into a cultural moment. A 3-hour and 20-minute battle on court that she finished with a smile and a quote that will echo for years. None of this was scripted. Every piece of it was earned. The question was never whether Alex could make another deep run in Miami. The real question is just how far this story can go, and when she finally lifts a WTA 1000 trophy. Because at this point, it genuinely feels like a matter of when, not if. The only question left is whether the world will be ready for just how loud that celebration is going to be.